I know I spoke to you recently, Lenny, about this film on the phone, and you said that you do wake up in the middle of the night occasionally going, my God, what have I done? There is a bonkers element to this film which, will polarise people. I don't know for both of you, and you have kind of said, but I don't know for you, Don, were there moments like that too where you're thinking, I'm not sure what we're doing here, but let's keep going forward and see what happens?
I think what you do is you have to back yourself in those situations, and you have to back your view, your idea of what the film can be. And as an actor, then your job is to give the director everything to be able to make of it what he wants. And if you trust the director, that's easy, and I trusted Lenny. So really, now and again, you're saying, I'm not really sure how to go about this, but that's why there's a director there, is to have those conversations together. And the cast, we all had such different qualities to bring, I think, that it was really just a case of shaping those together and making sure that we were all in the same film. And I think we did that. It was a lot of fun to be had, kind of teasing all that out.
And I would say, like, the thing is, it polarizes people way less than I thought it would. Like, I would say that the overwhelming reaction is incredibly positive. And so my fears were, like, in the lead up to making it, like, is this insane? Is this going to work? But actually, once we started working on it, I thought, this is like nothing I've seen before, but I really like it. I really like it's such an unusual taste. But and I said, great, let's just go for it then.
And the great thing is, of course, now, and really all thanks to Chris, the creator, is that we now have finally a pop messiah with a bigger head than Bono. It's always nice to know there's somebody out there who can kind of compete in some level.
No comment. I've got nothing. He seems like a very nice man to me. I
can't. I was walking by.
I like Bono.
Let's continue.
I know that Maggie, she and like yourself, Lenny, initially turned it down and then just couldn't get it out of her head, and she went back to it and rang you and said she'd like to do it. And the one thing she said that at one point is that it took me a while to understand the tone. And I'm wondering on set, I don't know whether out in the wilds of Wicklow or when there was a moment where the tone just sort of felt right, or whether it was from the start you knew. Or
well, because we filmed it backwards. We started in the States and then we filmed in Ireland. There was. Actually, we started with a couple of days of just Domhnall and myself. We're working together. We're now with the cast, and actually that was great because that was just I had worked very closely with Domhnall leading up to making the film, just to clarify his character, which is sort of which was crucial to understanding how the film was going to feel, and that got me into it. And I look back at stuff, and my editor sent me over assemblies, and I thought, ooh, there's something I really like about this. That helped. I think. There was a day when we shot in Wicklow where we did a scene where it's an early morning scene where John and Frank have their first kind of proper conversation. And it was just lovely. And there was something about that day where I felt I can feel where the heart of the film is now. And I really want to keep watching that. So that made me feel a lot more secure.
And I know that for Frank, in a way, I mean, he is part, Andy Kaufman, he's part Daniel Johnson, a bit of John Shuttleworth. But there is that thin line between cult and, because you do have to sort of feel some of these people are not likable, especially in the case of Andy Kaufman. Was that ever a concern that, will people like him? Will people understand him? Will people go with this guy?
I think the whole idea of likability is way over. Yeah. It's like way over kind of emphasized, particularly like in script development. People give you very naive notes, like, I don't know if this character is likable. Who do you tell stories about most in your life? And who are you dying to tell your friends about? Not the people that you think are great.
Yeah. What story ends with, and he was just really nice.
And he's just such a lovely guy.
Yeah, there's no stories in that way.
Whereas people who
stories about Bono usually end that way, don't
they?
Well, stories about Bono too.
My kids.
I genuinely really like. I'm just putting.
That's okay.
I have no issues really, other than his politics and his personality and some of that sort of stuff. But other than that,
good politics, I think. Anyways,
I think I'm fascinated by. I think Frank is ultimately massively lovable in the real sense of that, not in the cuddly toy sense, but in the sense of like somebody who you care about. But he doesn't always have to be a nice guy. He can be awful, and I think that's much more interesting. And the same with John. John is, I think we discover about John is he's neither a fool nor is he bad. And he goes through, he flirts with both. Early on in the
with both. He doesn't just flirt with them. He full on sleeps
with both of those. But then you just really care about him, and I think that's you've got to be interested, but you don't have to like.
It's the classic things like Daniel Day-Lewis in There Will Be Blood. You cannot get enough of that man. You cannot stop watching that man, And I don't know anybody who would describe him as being a nice man. So the issue of likability being central to enjoying a film, I think, is totally bogus, you know?
I was thinking too that famously, or a lot of people should know already, that you play the music live in this, which is wonderful. I mean, there's elements of the krautrock and the fall, and you know, great kind of. And I don't know. You come from a slightly musical family. I know your dad plays and all that. Was that very natural, or was there sort of a petrified sense of I have no idea what's going to happen now?
Well, there was kind of two levels to it. There was the first one, which I didn't play keyboard. I could play fiddle, and then keyboard is totally different because both your hands have to do totally different things at the same time. Totally different rhythms and totally different pitches, and they have to be totally independent of each other while working together. That blew my mind and took a lot of work to get to a place where I could do it. And then the second level was Stephen Rennick wrote the music. It was great music, but sometimes it was difficult to play. And so we were trying to make this thing really work and do justice to the music that he'd written. So there was two levels of fear, but Steve and Lenny really dealt with me really well in terms of making sure that I felt I was going to be able to do what was required, you know. And in the end, we started off I got to know all those actors in music rehearsals. The first time I met all of them was in music rehearsal, and it was a great way to get to know each other, you know.
Especially because apart from Carla Azar, who's amazing and is this just incredible drummer, you know, world-class drummer, and actually Francois, who is primarily an actor, but he could be a professional bass player, no question. Right. But Michael, Maggie, Domhnall, they're in a way it was quite nice because everybody and even for Francois and for Carla Carla was out of her element in the other sense. She was a musician, but she'd never acted before. It was quite a nice way to bring people together because everybody's pretty open to saying this isn't really my world, and that just brings everybody into the room. It's a leveler.
It's a leveler. There's no stars there when nobody knows how to do what they're doing, you know, like it brings you up.
You kind of know that people like Miles Davis and Brian Eno would approve it. Eno would famously make, you know, when Boys Keep Swinging, he made everybody at the last minute swap instruments, so nobody knew exactly what they're doing. So you get that.
It does have a spark, and on set as well. Some of the stuff went off. It just would go off, and that was just amazing. And then you're filming people playing music, and it's so lovely because most of the time if you're doing that stuff, you're trying to fake it, you know. You're desperately trying to do anything to make it sort of feel like they're really playing, and to have them really play is just the best.
I know for reference points for you know, the sort of tone and look and feel of the movie, Leningrad Cowboys Go America was one, but then also there was a cartoon your young child was watching about a squirrel and a bear and a fox, hitting musical instruments. And I mean, I don't know, for you, was there a lot of stuff that you deliberately went and looked at or kind of thought about or tried to get into before?
Well, Lenny showed me both those things, but also, I mean, I'm a massive Coen Brothers fan, and I think the way that something like The Big Lebowski is able to do both brilliant kind of pathos and yet at the same time be really wacky, and they can have a dream sequence, they can do whatever they want, but it's all the same movie, and it's always entertaining. And so for me, those kind of movies were touchstones too, because I felt like if we could do something distinctly our own, and as long as we believed in it, you can get other people to believe in it too.
And Lebowski's a good reference because when I first watched Lebowski, I thought, it took me a while, and now it's one of my favourite films. Yeah. Because the more you go back to it, the more it yields up. It gives you this. It just is full of pleasures, and I think Frank is dense. It's full. There are ideas, jokes, tropes, stuff in there that you can unpack. You know, and I think it has that kind of. That was a big reference. We talked about it quite a bit.
I've got to wrap up now, but very quickly, I know that you've got a room coming up with Brie Larson, and you've got quite a few things unbroken with the beautiful Angelina, and you've got I'll make sure I get these right, Ex Machina for Alex Garland with Oscar Isaac. You've got Brooklyn with young Saoirse, and you've got another movie that maybe, for all I know, Disney could have snipers waiting across the room that if you mention anything about
I know,
it.
can you see the red dot moving on my thing?
But that's got to be surreal, because you probably have to not ever be able to mention anything at all whatsoever about the fact that I think you're going to play Chewbacca's bastard son or something. Chewbacca and Hans have a son, and I think that was
I can do the whole thing. Yeah. No, I can't talk about anything to do with it, about what kind of part I have, about how much I'm in. I can't talk about any of those sort of things, and I think that's a good thing. I would just want to, every movie, you just want to go and see and let it do its thing, and then decide if you've enjoyed it or not. So I'll just work hard on it and hope I do well.
But it could change the picture, because I know Lawrence laughed about the fact that Lawrence Kinlan walk along, love-hate fans come up, ask you to hold the camera and take a picture of him with and the fan not realising who you are sometimes. That's going to change a lot. I don't know, but that's something you're thinking, hey, why not? Or are you slightly
I think I thought when I did
He's
Harry
drunk.
Potter, I
He's
got
drunk on power.
I am. I've gone absolutely nuts. No, but when
You're
I did
resting
Harry
your foot
Potter,
on
I
a
was
small
worried about
child.
it, and I think, yeah,
Away with you.
yeah. Believe me, you're not solid enough. I thought Harry Potter might change things that way, and I think actually it depends how you go about things. I think there's room to live a life and do good work, and I'm hoping that won't change. I would like to be able to do both, and if it meant I couldn't, then you just take a step back.
Rock August Roll. Well done on
Yeah.
the movie, guys. Very beautiful.
Thank you
movie.
very much.
Yeah, well done.
Thanks a lot. Really
Yeah.
delighted you like it.
Have fun now with whatever you're doing. I know that.
Yeah.
And when does Room start this year?
I
you're
think
saying September?
late September,
Okay, cool.
which is a bit of a